Hi guys, and welcome to Jonesy's World Cup vlog. This is my first one of the tournament. Was meant to be a daily thing, but due to technical reasons that hasn't been able to happen. So I decided to leave it a few days between each one, and then just kind of sum up the last few days and sum up the games. So let's start off with Thursday. So Thursday was just the one game, Brazil versus Croatia. Obviously, just the opening game of the World Cup was all just the one game, and all the talking points were for the wrong reasons, really. You know, it wasn't an exciting game. It wasn't the game that people were perhaps wanting. Brazil weren't. You know, obviously there's high expectations of Brazil, obviously being the host nation, but you know, playing that attractive style of football, and they didn't really live up to that billing. But they did get the win, obviously, which is the most important thing for the first game of the tournament. But Croatia took the shot lead quite early on, really, through that own goal. Neymar, obviously, I mean, everyone's been talking about him. Then got Brazil back into the game with what was pretty much a scuffed effort from outside the area. Certainly not the cleanest of strikes he'll ever make, but that got them back into the game. Just before that, though, was the first big talking point of the game, and it involved Neymar once again and an elbow against one of the Croatian players. Now, for me, it should have been a sending off, and for a lot of people, it should have been a sending off. And the thing that gave it away most was the fact that Neymar looked at the player before he did it. You know, a lot of the times red cards are given for elbows when players are both challenging and they're both looking at the ball. And for me, you know, when that's happening, you jump in with your arms anyway. But if you're focused on the ball, unless it's a clear, you know, elbow like that, if arms are just going up like that, it's not an elbow. But if you're going to clearly look at the guy you're doing it and then the arm swings, for me it's a clear sending off. So obviously that was the first main talking point, and for me a decision the referee got wrong, and he obviously would have changed the game completely with Neymar going off. Then in the second half was the penalty incident, which saw Brazil take the lead. This time it was a clear dive by Hulk, or at least making the most of the slightest little bit of contact in the area. You know, I didn't see many people thinking that it was a penalty. The majority decision was it was definitely a dive. But again, the referee decided to give it. The official gave it, and Brazil went back into the lead. But Croatia were definitely still in the match. They were playing some good stuff, and not long after going behind, they could have got an equaliser. But once again, the officials prevented that. A cross came in from the left-hand side, and one of the Croatian strikers challenged for the ball with the keeper, and for me it was very soft and shouldn't have been a free kick, but the referee gave it, and a no goal was given for Croatia. And it's one of those things where goalkeepers do seem to be getting even more protection as years go on, and it's one of my pet peeves, really. The amount of protection that goalkeepers do get, because I don't feel they need it. But once again, you know, for me, the officials got it wrong, and you know, Croatia felt, you know, really hard done by. And just to cap things off for Brazil, just before the end, Oscar scored a goal, which at first I thought it was an amazing goal that he'd done with the outside of his foot, but it turned out it was a toe poke that the Croatian keeper really should have dealt with a little bit better. So game finished 3-1, and you know, as I say, not a perfect performance from Brazil by any means, but you know, just getting that win was the most important thing for them. But also, you know, a lot of positives to take for Croatia. You know, they can look quite positively ahead for the rest of the games in their group, with that performance against the host nation. So Friday, you know, very early on in the tournament, threw up one of the biggest shocks that we've seen in World Cup football recently. But the first game of the night was Mexico versus Cameroon. It was a game that I kind of saw little glimpses of, didn't get to see too much of it, unfortunately. Mexico had 2 goals wrongly disallowed in the first half. So again, officials stealing the main talking points once again, so early on in the tournament, which was quite disappointing. But no harm done, as Mexico did go on to win 1-0 in a game that there was a lot of heavy rain, so it wasn't the most exciting of matches, really. But Mexico did enough to get the win. So the group seems like it could be quite open. You know, Brazil will have to push on a little bit more, I think, than what they did against Croatia, and improve their attacking strength a little bit more and work on them. But you know, it seems like quite an open group there. But then went on to the main match of that day, which was Spain versus Netherlands, and I think everyone was expecting a close game, as they always seem to be. Obviously, a repeat of the final of the World Cup 4 years ago. But I think everyone was really expecting a Spain win. So for the Netherlands to come out and win 5-1 was, well, not just win 5-1, but absolutely dominate and batter Spain at the same time, and play such lovely football, and you know, leave Spain resorting to, you know, not their normal style of football as well. It was really quite amazing, and again, unfortunately, I only managed to see about 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the second half, sort of just when Holland turned the pressure up a little bit. You know, Spain took the lead through a penalty and Alonso scoring it, and everyone was thinking, here we go, you know, this is what everyone was expecting. But again, you know, the Dutch came right back. Van Persie with what was a fantastic header, a lovely finish really from Robin Van Persie, and it just went on from there. You know, Robin scoring two lovely goals. You know, a goal was scored where, you know, again a player was jumping up with the keeper and challenging him. And for me, it was more of a foul than what it was the night before for Croatia. But the goal was given, so that's, you know, that's where things start getting a little bit dodgy with those decisions. But anyway, you know, another goal was given, and like I say, just the performance in general, Spain just looked a sorry state. You know, Casillas making some pretty bad mistakes in goal. The defence was just made to look daft. Torres having pretty much an open goal to his mercy, and somehow taking his time and managing to miss towards the end. And it was just, I don't think anyone could believe what they were watching really, but fantastic stuff for the World Cup. You know, that's what the World Cup's about, just having such shock results like that, but also seeing some fantastic performances, some fantastic goals. I mean, for me, Ian Robben's second goal was just absolutely class. The way he kept his composure at the end there, you know, it just showed the pure class of the guy. So that was 5-1 to the Netherlands, and the late game was Chile versus Australia. So I managed to see the first half of that game, and again, you know, Australia, no one's expecting much of them. You know, they usually give a pretty decent fight at the World Cups, but you know that they're not going to get through group stages at the World Cup. I'd be very surprised if they did anyway. But you know, first half they again showed a lot of fight against Chile, but Chile showed their strengths and their qualities early on, and taking a two goal lead pretty early on as well. But as I say, Australia kept fighting and stuck in the game, and did get a goal back not long before half time, and it was a textbook Tim Cahill goal. A crossing, he leapt the highest and put in a fantastic header past the Chilean keeper. And you know, you thought maybe, you know, if they can start ruffling a few feathers early on in the second half, they might cause an upset. But ultimately, you know, Chile were too much, and they did go on to win 3-1. And ultimately, you know, Australia, they couldn't string many passes together, and you know, they were sort of relying a lot on set pieces to really make any clear opportunities. So no real surprises there. So then Saturday obviously was a big game for everyone here in England. It was the first game for us against Italy, but that was the late kickoff. The early one was Colombia versus Greece. Now, in my Q&A video, I tipped Colombia as an outside bet, and they proved in that game, you know, why they, you know, should definitely be up there. You know, if they do get out of the group stages, because they are a class outfit. And like I say, you know, they qualified second to Argentina in the qualification stages, and they weren't far behind them anyway. And yes, you know, Greece didn't put up too much of a fight really. It was kind of what was expected from Greece, but some class goals, some class finishes, and some class play from Colombia. You know, got them through in a comfortable 3-0 victory, and some class celebrations as well, which is always fun to see from South American teams. Then the game after that, Uruguay, Costa Rica, obviously the other two countries in our group, and Costa Rica were expected to be the whipping boys in our group, and they completely proved everyone wrong. They played a fantastic game against Uruguay. For me, Uruguay just showed a lot of dirty tactics. I really dislike Uruguay. I have done for a while, and that isn't just because of Suarez. And it proved it the other night, the fact that he wasn't involved, and just the way that they go about things, Uruguay, they seem a very dirty team. And you know, they came undone against Costa Rica. You know, they played some fantastic stuff. The lad whose name slipped my mind, that is from Arsenal, you know, scored a fantastic goal, you know, a fantastic finish, set up some of the other goals for them as well, and just completely ran the show really for Costa Rica. But far from the whipping boys in this group. You know, if they go on to play like that in the last two games, they could quite easily get qualification from this group, because I can see them causing us and Italy quite a few problems. So you know, a 3-1 victory there, a little bit of a shock. And then obviously on to the main game of the day, England-Italy, and it was obviously disappointing in the end to lose 2-1. But for me, so much more positive than what we've seen in recent you know, major tournaments from England. You know, just positive attacking play, which, you know, for me there was more excitement in the first maybe 10 minutes of that game than what I encountered in the last World Cup in South Africa. You know, the majority of the South African tournament was me watching the team just pass the ball between the back four, and it was just so dull. I mean, everyone knew what it was like. So to see us sort of come out all guns blazing the way we did was really quite good to see. It was one of those games where Italy were always in control. You know, they always had the majority of the possession. Pirlo once again just controlling the game for them from central midfield. But although Italy were controlling it, we were looking a bit more menacing going forward, which, like I say, we're not really used to seeing. But you know, Sterling got off to a cracking start, scoring that goal that everyone, well, not scoring the goal that everyone thought was a goal, but you know, it was a cracking effort, and he was showing that early on he was going to take players on. Sturridge again looking lively. Danny Welbeck was even having a good game. I'll openly admit that. You know, we look fairly comfortable at the back, but you know, it's starting to look a little bit worrying from down that right hand side, or our left hand side. You know, Leighton Baines was looking a little bit nervous at the back, and he wasn't getting any cover really from midfield at that point where Rooney was meant to be sort of travelling back and forth, and he wasn't. And you know, you could see that that's where the problems were going to lie. And Italy obviously took the lead through a well-worked set piece and a long-range effort. You know, it could have been dealt with better from us, but you know, fair play to Italy. It was a well-worked set piece. Obviously, they've been working at on the training ground. But instead of letting our heads drop, we came straight back at Italy, and you know, we got the equaliser within, I think it was about 5 minutes. A great ball from Sterling, a fantastic cross from Rooney, and a decent finish from Sturridge as well. You know, it wasn't an easy finish, and things were looking positive again. And we were hoping that, you know, we could just go out after half time and do more of the same. But unfortunately, you know, Italy just kind of beat us to it really in the second half. And once they got that second goal, that's where we started to kind of just break down a little bit. The passing started going off. Rooney completely disappeared from the game. You know, we didn't see anything from him again. and the rest of the players, you could tell the heat was starting to get to them. There were still little flashes of brilliance from a few individual players, but towards the end of the game, where really we should have kept to trying to break down the Italian defence, individuals were trying to take on the Italian defence, you know, just by themselves, which was the wrong tactics to do. And like I say, it ended up being a disappointing result, but you know, a lot of positives to take into the next two group games. And I think if we push on a little bit more from the performance that we showed against Italy, you know, we can win those games against Uruguay and Costa Rica. It's not going to be easy, but I think there's definitely plenty of positives to take from that. So then on Saturday, the very early game, in the early hours of Saturday morning after the England game, was Ivory Coast Japan. I'm afraid I completely had to miss that one out as I was knackered and had to work the next day. So there's not much that I can say about the game, but Ivory Coast did win 2-1. I believe they were actually 1-0 down. I might be wrong in that game, but they came back to win 2-1 anyway. I think Wilfred Boney and Gervinho got the goals there. So you know, early advantage to Ivory Coast in that game. So it was the turn of Switzerland against Ecuador. The Swiss, obviously, for me it was a surprise to see that there were six seeds in the tournament, and then learning that they'd only lost one in the last 18 games or something. So again, you know, everyone was expecting kind of a win for them against Ecuador, but Ecuador, again being in a climate that suits them a little bit more, got that early goal and took the lead. And it was a very scrappy game from the bits that I saw and the bits that I heard. You know, it definitely wasn't a classic. You know, the Swiss then getting back into the game, and again there wasn't really that much in it, and I think everyone just thought it was gonna, you know, end up in a pretty dull 1-1 draw. But literally the very last kick of the game, and the Swiss get the winner. A fantastic breakaway from Barami. Putting in a very decent tackle and then getting back up and starting off the counter attack. And I can't even remember who scored the goal. Completely slipped out of my mind. But it was a great finish anyway. And like I say, literally the last kick of the game. So you know, that just shows the fighting spirit that you have to show in these big games, and what can happen. So then came the France-Honduras game, and goal line technology finally got its introduction into world football. A game where France were very much expected to win against Honduras, and Honduras showed, very much like Uruguay, what quite a dirty side that they were. You know, they had a very clear game plan of how they were going to go about things. Some very, very dodgy fouls and challenges going in there. There could have been several red cards, to be honest. You know, the referee choosing to kind of let the game flow as such, but Honduras, you know, not doing themselves any favours whatsoever. But France took an early lead, and then the big talking point of the game, where Benzema scored, kind of whipped in from a tightish kind of angle, hit the far post, went along the line, hit the keeper, and then went over the line, and then the keeper tried to scoop it back out. Now, straight away in real time, I thought it wasn't a goal. Looking at the normal replay, I still didn't think it was a goal, and I think everyone was thinking the same. But then the actual goal line technology replay showed that the ball was clearly over the line. But the thing that was most confusing about it, and the fact it was shown in the stands as well, is it stopped with the goal line technology for when the ball had first hit the post and said no goal. Now, for what reason they did that, I don't know, because it was clear to see that that wasn't when the ref would have given the goal, or you know, that was a talking point. It was clearly when the ball had hit the keeper and gone over the line. But the fact that that was shown in the stadium as well got all the fans and all the crowd kind of booing and everything. And then obviously the replay went on, showed it after it had hit the keeper, and then said goal. You know, it got Jonathan Pearce all confused, bless him, on the commentary. He had no idea what was going on, and you know, it showed that the technology works at the end of the day. but they probably could have gone about it a little bit better for, you know, showing it in the ground as such. But yeah, then France went on to get another, and it was a comfortable, easy victory for them in the end. And you know, like I say, Honduras not doing them any favours in the way that they played. And then finally, Argentina made their introduction to the World Cup last night. Again, I only saw the first half because I had to get a fairly early night, and it was a very dull first half really. Obviously, all the pressure and all the talk was about Messi, you know, finally trying to make an introduction on the international stage, which has been put against him that is not quite international class. And you know, there wasn't anything to show that in the first half. Like I say, it was a really dull, very boring game. It was an own goal that put Argentina 1-0 up, and it just, like I said, that there really wasn't much to talk about. You know, Bosnia, you know, showed some quality really, some fighting spirit and some fighting quality, and sort of went into half time 1-0. And then the second half, obviously, I missed, and it did end up 2-1 to Argentina. Went 2-0 up through Messi. Of course, it had to be the half that I didn't watch. Apparently, it was a very good goal, a very well taken goal. I think he took a few players on, and then produced a quality finish from all that I've heard. And then I'm guessing Bosnia obviously got a consolation goal after that. But again, you know, like Brazil, Argentina have got a lot of pressure on them. For me, they're the tournament favourites, and I think they're the team that should sort of win it outright, really. But from what I saw in that first half, like I say, I don't know how it changed in the second, but there was definitely not enough quality and enough class on show there for them to go on and win it. You know, comparing that to the way the Netherlands dispatched Spain, you know, it was a fairly lacklustre performance, like I say. So yeah, that's it really, guys. For me, it's been a very entertaining first couple of days of the World Cup. I think we've seen well, definitely been trekked to a lot of goals, which we haven't been used to in recent tournaments. But yeah, with some very entertaining games, some exciting games, some top goals, a few shocks, and certainly a lot of talking points so far. So you know, so far Brazil World Cup 2014 is living up to expectations. But I want to know what you guys are thinking. You know, let me know in the comments below or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC. Let me know your highlights and your lowlights so far. You know, your favourite moments, your favourite goals, your most disappointing moment so far. If there's anything that's changed your mind about who you think might win the World Cup, if you've seen anything yet that's changed your mind there. And of course, let me know your thoughts on the England game from the other night. Do you think, you know, we showed enough in that game to perhaps get a little bit further than what you thought? Or if, you know, like people were saying before, you don't think we might get out the group stages. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about, so get talking, guys. Like I say, comments below or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.